changed the show tonight. Not really, it's DNS Live, but tonight it's going to be Diva Live because the ink never joins us anymore. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the post that I put on Facebook earlier tonight. I'm sure I'll get it later, but that's okay. It'll be well worth it in the long run. We've been a little busy the last week. Got some stuff moving along. Personally, we're going to be moving finally next week. So for Valentine's Day, not only do I get to kiss my house goodbye of 9 years, but we get to say hello to a bigger place. So we're thrilled about that. Not thrilled about the move, the actual move part, but we are thrilled to finally be past this chapter in life. So we can get on with our crew time stuff, and we can get on with investigations and reaching out to our clientele again so we can take care of some stuff. Nothing really exciting other than that's been going on. We've been working on some private residential cases still, hoping to wrap some of those up this weekend. And give some solutions to our clients, and we'll see how well that goes. And then once we get settled into the new place, we're hoping to do some crew time and invite you guys out to join us on some investigations coming up, some commercial locations. So let's get started with the show. We have the author of the Paranormal Dictionary, which I still have to go and get. I'd hope to order it from Amazon by now, but of course with me moving, I don't know that I would get it, so I'm going to have to wait and make sure I get my copy. But we have Chad Stambaugh on, and we're going to talk to him about the Paranormal Dictionary. And you guys, if there's a word that you have heard out in the paranormal field that you didn't know what it meant, or you just have a word that you've seen that you wondered what it was, tonight's the night to be in the chat room and ask us about it. So, welcome to the show, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sherry. How are you?
I'm good. So this is what, your second book?
Correct. Yep. Second book. First one was came out last December, and that was Paranormal Investigations. That one talked about the different pieces of equipment we use in the paranormal field and how to actually use it properly, and also how to do a proper investigation step by step.
You mean we actually have something out there? You know, that's one thing everybody jokes about is we don't really have something that tells us or that gives us some input. We were talking on the show, a couple of weeks ago to one of the NPS department chairs about, how, and it was actually Will Crawford. We were talking about how to help a newbie get started in this field, and we were talking about, hook up with somebody that's got some experience. Well, now we can tell them, hey, go take a look at Chad's book.
That's correct. Actually, the second part, that's exactly what it is it breaks it down step by step how to do an actual private investigation where like you're going into a private residence, or how to do an investigation at a historical site. Either one.
Nice, very nice. And now you've got the new book out, the Paranormal Dictionary, so that kind of goes hand in hand with it.
Yeah, it does. The reason I wrote the second one is because, like you were saying earlier, there's so many people out there doing it, and everybody is calling the same thing different names and stuff like that. So I went out and I did some research, and because I wanted to find the actual scientific names for the different things that are actually happening to us out there.
Yep.
And so that's what I did is I put it all in one giant book, 720 pages, and it not only covers paranormal, but it's actually split into 4 sections. It covers the paranormal, it covers cryptozoology, and it covers ufology, and then it also covers demonology.
That's awesome. I was just pulling it up here on Amazon. You guys, if you want to get a copy of this book, Amazon.com is the place to get it. And you can actually kind of peek through the book a little bit and see that, it's not one of those books that looks like it's all in 7-point where you're not going to be able to read it and understand it. It's, pretty easy language to understand and read. And there's a lot of us, when we are on the National Paranormal Society site, there's some big words that are thrown around sometimes that intimidate some people, and they wonder what it is. Or we often misuse matrixing when we should be using another word for that. And, we'll see it out there, and I'll probably slaughter it, but pareidolia, I believe is how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But,
Pareidolia?
Thank you. See, I always get everything wrong. But it's one of those that if you don't know what it is and you don't know how to spell it, you're kind of lost.
Yeah, that's true. And getting the book, it actually gives you the correct spelling, and then it gives you the actual meaning of what it is. And like you said, there are people out there that, do know some of the words, but they're using them in the wrong context.
Yep. Well, and I'm even kind of scrolling through it right now. You even give the name of some ghosts and some really deep information here, which it's a little bit more than a dictionary. It's almost becoming part of an encyclopedia.
Yeah, some of the people have said that too, and I didn't want to confuse people, so I just went with the Paranormal Dictionary. But yeah, there's some of the words and definitions in there. They are kind of hard to understand, so I kind of go more into detail on those so that people understand exactly what I'm talking about with that word.
So how long did it take you to write this and do all your research and really get everything pulled together?
Oh, wow. It was 18 months worth of research. I mean, I talked to the Ryan Research Center. I talked to another large center over in Europe. I did 2 weeks of Skype with some rabbis in New York. Did another 10 days of Skype with a Muslim imam in Egypt. So I was all over the place doing research for this book.
Wow, that's awesome though. But it made sure that you captured everything that needed to be captured in it.
Correct. And I wanted to cross-check everything that I put in there to make sure that it was correct, and that I wasn't leaving any information or misinforming somebody on a certain word.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're putting out something like this, that's going to be not only a large book, but something that's going to be large in the community.
Correct.
So do you find that now, you finished the book, you got it put out, you've got this really complete dictionary. Do you find yourself going back and thinking, gosh, I wish I'd put in this word, or I wish I'd done more on this one? Do you find yourself kind of second guessing what you put in there?
Not really, because since I've had it out, I've only had a few people come up to me or call me and give me a couple words that I don't have in here. So it pretty much 99.99%, I've got every word in here that we use.
So are we going to see a Paranormal Dictionary 2 coming out next, or what are you working on next?
Well, I'm actually working on my next book, during the middle of the research right now. And this is probably going to be a very contentious book, because this is for, how do I want to put it? This is a book put together to refute all the Bible thumpers that say that in the Bible we don't talk about ghosts in the Bible, that everything is demonic.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm doing research right now to prove those type of people wrong, that the Bible does talk about ghosts and spirits.
Absolutely, it does. And it's funny because a lot of people say that. A lot of people, when you tell them you're in the paranormal or you're a ghost hunter, the first thing they think of is you're either a devil worshiper, or you don't know what you're doing, or you're unchristian because the Bible doesn't address it. And the Bible does address it, folks. If you're smart enough to read it and believe in it, it's addressed in there.
Exactly. And I've already found at least 20 different references that it actually talks about human spirits, not demons, but human spirits.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's even places in there where they talk about Jesus himself referring to human spirits.
Exactly.
I mean, we talk about, the Holy Trinity. What's the third one? The Holy Ghost, right?
Holy Ghost, correct.
So, I mean, I'm excited about that. You're going to have to let me know when that comes out. You have to come back on the show, because that's going to be one that I will absolutely push for you, because it's one of the things that, I've been doing this 4 years now, and everybody comes up to me and challenges me on it. And I welcome that challenge. I was born a very devout Christian, and I know my Bible, and I know the ins and outs, and I love taking that challenge.
Yeah, I grew up I guess you call it a Methodist. I'm not much into the organized religion now because of all the things I've been learning. But yeah, I'm the same way. I pretty much know the Bible really well, but I wanted to put something in writing that shows it, because saying it to the people and actually showing them in writing. You know, some people, that's the only way that gets through their heads, you know?
Absolutely. Well, but I think it's more you're going out there and finding the facts to put some meat behind it, where when you're having a debate, a verbal debate over it, you're not coming to battle, so to speak. You don't have your Bible right there to show, and you don't have the black and white there to show people. And I think now that you'll have something in black and white, it's going to be something that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have it out by this December, maybe next January.
Mm-hmm.
The latest should be out by then.
Stuff. Well, and it's awesome because even the Paranormal Dictionary refers to some stuff, you know, it ties it kind of back to everything. So I think it's just something progressive for you, you know, starting off with the first book, going over reviewing details and how to handle things, to the dictionary, you know, defining what you might have read or found out about in the first one. And now let's take it a step further and let's actually get into it.
Exactly. And, you know, that's why I write these books. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot of people out there, right, just fictional paranormal stuff, you know, or things that they've done, but there's not that many educational books for the field. And so that's where I'm trying to fill that niche, because there's a lot of people out there that are thirsting for this type of education. And so nobody up until now has done anything to put it out, which really surprises me. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that say they've been doing this for 20, 30 years, but why hasn't any of them ever done something like this? I mean, this is something big that should have been out in the field decades ago.
A long time ago. Do you think it has something to do with a lot of this being kind of taboo? I mean, if you think about it, and I don't really know when it started to become quote-unquote popular, but if you think about it, it used to be that you didn't talk about this kind of thing. And now, you know, we've got the TV shows and the movies coming out about the paranormal. It seems to be more accepted now. You think that kind of had a bearing on it?
I do. I think a lot of the shows, especially, you know, with Ghost Hunters came out, and then all the other shows came out, branched off of it. Yeah, it brought a lot of the paranormal itself to the forefront, and a lot more people got interested. Well, they were probably interested before, but they just didn't know where or how to get into it. Now, with all these shows and everything coming out, more people are getting into it, but they're still lost because they only know how to do it by what they see on TV.
Right, and that's not necessarily
out there. There's nobody out there really teaching anything. That's one of the biggest things that I see flaws when I go to paranormal conventions. It's all about what I've done or anything like that, but there's no really information at these conventions telling you how to do things, how to do it properly.
Right. Well, and you know, and we don't have any kind of formal education sitting to be a paranormal investigator. So, and that kind of holds down our field and holds down our studies. So I think the more that we get into it and the more that we can have these kind of tools, I think the better we're going to be fine-tuning things to be able to say, hey, okay, now let's really get to the meat of this and let's figure out how we're going to prove that this exists, instead of just posting pictures and saying, look at this mist, it's a ghost. Now we're going to actually have some meat to it to be able to fully define it and look at it. And maybe that will help us come up with some better equipment that will help us capture these type of images a little bit better, instead of having to worry about false positives and, you know, things that are showing up that can be explained by, you know, something natural or, you know, somebody's finger or a piece of hair being in the way.
Right. We can finally take the paranormal from being a pseudoscience to an actual science.
Exactly. And I think that's really the next step for everything. I think it'll get there. I just don't know how fast we're going to be able to get it there. There's a lot of drama in the field right now, and it's a whole lot of, you know, look at me and look what I found, look at how I do this. And there's not enough people out there pushing to say, okay, let's slow this down. Let's look at the basics of things. Let's kind of get this defined. Let's start with an outline of things, and let's work from there. And like you said, nobody really knows what they're doing when they go out there.
Right. I mean, when I go to some of the conventions near where I live out here in California, that's what I try to do. Is I give a paranormal 101 class, you know, to try and give people more structure and instruction, you know, of how to actually do an investigation.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's something wise, because if we're going to be helping this next generation of investigators get it right and be able to define the correct technical tools, we've got to start somewhere. We need to start with what we know and what we've been through and what we've experienced at this point, and be able to kind of catapult that going forward.
Totally agree.
So let's see. What's probably one of your, let's kind of go back to your first book. What was kind of one of your favorite things to cover in that? What's, when you're doing your 101 class, what's your favorite thing that you like to bring up, or the most popular thing that gets asked of you?
Well, the biggest thing that I bring up, that another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, and another woman named Elaine Davison just wrote a book on, and that is paranormal safety.
Yeah.
Biggest thing that I bring up before I even get into anything else is the safety factor. I'm sure you've read it on Facebook and other places. There's so many people going out there doing these investigations and being unsafe, and they're getting injured and even dying because they didn't take the proper procedures, safety procedures, before they actually went to investigate. So that's one of the biggest things that I push out there, is the safety. Know about going out the day before, during the daylight, where you're going to investigate, and looking for all the dangerous things that could be out there. Any holes, there's rotted areas in a building that you're going into, or the steps are unsafe. Don't go on the steps. Wrap it off with some kind of yellow police tape or something like that. Make it safe so that when you do go out there, do your investigation at night, where all the bad spots are, and you can stay away from it and come out of your investigation injury-free.
Well, and it also goes to, when you do an investigation, if you take a scientific approach and a scientific method to it, you already have been to this location, you've talked to witnesses, you've talked to owners, you've talked to whoever, you've gone out there during the day, and you've done what's called a walkthrough. And in my case, I like to go and take several pictures so I'm familiar with the location. You also take your notes of, okay, well, if I'm coming back at night and I'm going to be outside, am I going to need bug spray? Am I going to need, a breathing mask? Is it an old building? I mean, there's all these things that, you don't see on these shows, and you're not taught to bring along. And I think that kind of goes to us as being kind of been there, done that, bringing it up to the newbies and bringing it up to the people that are getting into this, to make sure that they understand that. We've even gone so far as to name a health and safety chair now with the National Paranormal Society, and we've got Alan, who's one of our NPS reps, that's actually working on a lot of that too, and he's actually in the chat room yelling safety right now. I mean, it's one of the things that we have not touched that we really do need to touch.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, like I said, it's stage one for an investigation. I mean, you've got to know like you said, you got to go in during the daytime and know all the different obstacles, breathing. If it's dusty, you don't know what's in there, so make sure you have an N9 breathing mask, glasses if you need them. I mean, we even carry a full medical kit. I have actually a blood pressure machine that I carry with our team, all kinds of stuff, in case anything comes up.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you have to be, I hate to say, but you have to be prepared for the worst. And a lot of the people that are going out now are more thrill-seeking than they are thinking about things and being level-headed. So when you've got a team of people, you're responsible for that team. And you're responsible for, if somebody gets a wood splitter, what are you going to do? Somebody cuts their finger, what are you going to do? Somebody trips and falls, what are you going to do? I mean, you have to take these precautions. What if you've got, a bee buzzing around and somebody on your team's allergic to bee stings? What are you going to do? So, I mean, it's a lot of this kind of stuff that, people need to think about. And it's not something that's new to us, because we have first aid kits at work and in school. So why wouldn't we have it? We have them in our cars. Why wouldn't we have them in our ghost hunting bag?
Exactly. That's what I say at my lectures all the time.
I mean, I carry a bottle of ibuprofen for me in case I get a headache or I get a bump. Why wouldn't I carry a first aid kit for my team? That's just silly. Very silly. So what's one of the other things that you like to talk about when you're giving your 101 or something that you covered in the book that you think, like safety? Safety's really not addressed that much. What's something else that you can think about that, is kind of something that's probably in the back of our mind but not at the forefront?
Probably another thing that I see a lot of people don't do is taking baseline readings when they first go in and start their investigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
They're just going in there and doing an investigation, and the next thing you know, they're getting all these EMF readings and stuff like that, and they think they got something. Well, if you're in the kitchen, did you do a baseline reading on the refrigerator, the microwave, the whatever else electronics may be in there? So you don't know exactly what you're getting if you haven't done a baseline reading.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, a lot of this terminology, if you're not familiar with it and you're kind of new to the field, get Chad's book and it's going to be in there. You guys can kind of catch up to us and know what's going on. But yeah, absolutely baseline readings. I mean, you want to know, how am I going to know if I really got a cold spot if I don't know what my temperature was to begin with?
Exactly.
I mean, people think we're crazy for carrying around I always carry my mail around for a temperature reading and always stick it on the floor. And as I'm doing my notes, I'm notating what my temperature is too. And then you also have to do your EMF readings as well, like you said. I mean, you may have, you may have something in the room that hasn't kicked on yet when you first walk through. It may kick on later. It's still something you need to notate and kind of keep an eye on and have people walk around the room and be like, oh, well, that fan wasn't on earlier, now it is, and I'm getting this reading. I mean, you always have to debunk and look for a plausible explanation for what's going on.
Exactly, and in my first book, I have in there examples of certain different electronical objects, like a hair dryer for women in the bathroom, the refrigerator, the microwave, what the normal range is, the EMF range readings for those type of appliances. So that way when you go in there, you see those, then you can actually, change your readings or read your readings from that. So you actually know what they are, because each type of appliance out there has a different level of readings when you use a millimeter or tri-field meter, whatever you're using. So you need to know what those readings are so that when you go out, you can work with it.
Well, and the other good thing is, if you kind of know what the reading should be and the reading's a little off when you're there, is that something that could be causing some of the activity or could explain some of it too? So, I mean, it's going back to being smart about your debunking before you actually start looking at something being paranormal.
Exactly. And not more just looking at your basic base readings, but you also have to look at wirings of the building you're in. For example, we went on a private residential case last year, and the people were having what they thought paranormal activity going on every time they were in the kitchen, in the dining room. And so when we went in there, did our baseline readings and everything, not only did I do my baseline, but then I kind of traced the wiring through the house, and I found out that the wiring in the house was very, very old. It was like over 50 years old.
Wow. And
it was throwing off high EMF readings. And what it was doing, what we figured out, is actually is causing hallucinations when the family was either in the dining room eating or in the kitchen preparing their meals.
Oh, wow.
Once they had an electrician come in and replace all their wiring, paranormal activity went away.
Well,
so it wasn't paranormal at all, it was actually man-made.
Yeah, well, and it's also a safety concern for that family at that point, too, if the wiring's that old.
Exactly.
Because that could have sparked a bunch of stuff. Alan just reminded me in the chat room, something else that we have to, remember about is cell phones. They've got their own reading, and they can kind of throw off all of our equipment as well.
Exactly. We usually get, when we do an investigation, only the person at the base camp has a cell phone. Everybody else takes their cell phone and leaves them in the cars, because we only need one phone for an emergency.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and a lot of times I'll leave mine in my case. I'll log whatever time I need to log that I'm starting stuff and just leave it in my case, because we're not using any of those cell phone apps. God, you guys don't use the cell phone.
Don't even get me started on that.
don't use the cell phone apps. And quit posting the pictures on NPS with those ghost app pictures. If we're going to get on the cell phones, we're going to get on the cell phones. But, we need to be thinking about that kind of stuff. And you need to think about, some of these really technical type watches, and I'll call them technical type because they're the ones that have the, what are they called? The new ones that you can now, you don't answer your phone, but they connect up to your phone. Those can even...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, those new Samsung.
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but, it's an additional cell phone arm, if you really want to look at it that way. So, be smart when you're going out there. Think about what you've got on you that could potentially disrupt some stuff. We've even had our radios. We do a lot of cemetery investigations, and we've had our radios interact with some of our equipment. And so we know one of the things we do when we go up there before we start is, okay, well, my radio is going to interfere with this device, so, I just need to be aware of that when we're using it.
Correct. And another thing that I teach early in my 101 class, and you've already mentioned it real fast, is people don't realize that, the best thing to have out there is themselves and a pencil and paper. Because a lot of people don't go out there and they're not recording what's actually going on. They think they can keep it all in their head. You can't. You got to have pencil and paper and write down what's going on. You got to write down your experiences, what's going on with the equipment, and people forget about doing that. I don't know how many times I start out my 101 class and I mentioned that, and everybody looked at me like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
You go to class, what's the first thing you do? You take notes. It's common. I actually carry on me, and people make fun of me for it, but, I was talking to Will on the show, and he does it too. I think he does this a little differently, but I actually carry 2 recorders on me. I have one from the time I step on property that I will actually talk to myself and make notes on as I'm going through my entire investigation, and then I have one that I use strictly for EVP, just because I am ADHD a little bit. My kids are, so where do you think I get it from? But, there's a lot of times that I am writing down notes, and I'm one of those, I can type faster than I write. And if I have that taken away from me, which, I'm not going to be taking a laptop or something like that with me on investigation, sometimes it's just easier for me to make a note to myself on a recorder to come back when I'm doing my notes and type up than it is for me to have to write it down. And a lot of times, we're kind of caught in the middle of something and you're experiencing it. It's easier to describe it in words than it is to have to sit and think about it in paper, and then you're losing that whole connection. So, you want to take your paper for sure when you're getting there, you're doing your walkthroughs. Make your notes. A lot of people remember things because they're writing it down, and it helps you remember. But then when you're doing your actual investigation, if you're comfortable writing, take your notepad with you. If not, use another recorder and talk to yourself. You're going to look funny, it's okay, but when you come back with notes later that help you actually resolve your case or solve some issues, you're going to be patting yourself on the back for it.
Yeah, we do the same thing, Sherry. We have 2 different recorders. We do one from the time we step on the site until the time we're done, and then we have one we do our normal EVPs with. But something that we found with that recorder that's going the whole time, you get a lot of good EVPs with that, because when you be on a break or something like that, or talking to a client, and you actually get whatever's there, spirit entity, actually trying to mingle in with your actual conversation. So you get sometimes more EVPs with that than you do with the other one.
Well, and the other good thing is, sometimes some people will go into different rooms and they'll set up, 2 recorders, and then they've got the one that's on them. Well, I have found a lot of times I might pick up something on my EVP recorder and I can't quite make it out. Was that really something? And I can go back to my notes recorder and match it up. And sometimes I get more clarification out of one than the other to know where it was. And you can still go back to your third recorder and kind of pick it up. But depending on where it happened in the room, you're either going to get it distant or you're going to get it close up. So there's just a couple of different tricks like that that you could try. So I always tell people, when they ask, I'm just starting off, what should I get? 2 recorders. I know that they can be expensive, but 2 recorders, a camera, a flashlight, a notepad, and a pen. And I mean, from there, you're pretty much set to start out. And a lot of it is just using common sense.
Exactly. And then since you got the same EVP on two different recorders, now you actually have validation that the EVP is real.
Right, right. We had one of the very first investigations I went on, and it was a group of us, and we were at a commercial location, and one of the girls had her name called and heard it and was like, yeah? And everybody's like, what? Well, did you call my name? No. She's like, I heard my name called. There were 4 people in the room, and all 4 people, when they got home and reviewed all their EVP work, all of them had her name on that. That's how strong that EVP was. So it's kind of cool to know there's some validation there. It wasn't just on one recorder. We got it on 4 recorders, and it was audible.
Uh-oh, we lost Chad.
Did we? He'll be back on in a little bit. We were having a good conversation. You guys in the chat room, y'all are like going off over here. Let's see. Have you ever picked up on one of your thoughts on a recorder? Come on, Alan. What are you? Are you talking to yourself, Alan? You know, I kind of will catch myself talking to myself on my recorder sometimes, and then I get back to start reviewing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, if anybody else hears this, I'm going to be, you know, marked insane or something. I know you guys think I'm crazy anyway, but, you know, I think it's just it's a good thing to do, and I'm glad to see a lot of you others are doing the same thing with those recorders, because it's what helps us validate stuff in addition to doing our video even. We're waiting on trying to get Chad back on here, so while we're waiting, you guys have any other questions you guys want to ask Chad about maybe his first book or the dictionary itself or the book that he's working on? I think the book he's working on is going to be fantastic. I think it's something that we've needed for a while, and I know a lot of you guys know that that's one thing that gets me charged up is the debate over what is talked about in the Bible about spirits and ghosts. So I think that's going to be something definitely I'll be looking forward to.
Yeah, I lost you there.
There you are. I don't know what happened. It's Skype. You should have seen it last week. It was all over the place, cutting out on the camera and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, you've got. I was talking to the people in chat room, and you know, you're getting applause from Robin, who was on the show last week, for helping educate investigators properly based around parapsychology. You know, if there were more people out there doing that, I think we would start to see a shift in the field as a whole, going from this he said, she said drama bullshit to actually getting down to the scientific end of things, which is where we really want this field to go. We want this to be more of a science than a hobby. And right now, I think too many people see it as a hobby and thrill seeking, and the rest of us that are wanting to make something scientific out of it are kind of sitting down, you know, scratching our nails on the chalkboard, so to speak, trying to get some attention.
Right, and so it's the people that's creating all the drama is what's holding the field back. And
yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's not about who found what. I mean, if you found something, then share it. And that's another thing that drives me crazy. There's so many people out there that said they've been in this for 15, 20, 30 years, but they don't want to share any of their experiences or anything like that. You know, it's like, oh, no, I have it. You can't have it. That's a kind of ridiculous attitude.
Well, you know, if you've caught something, the first thing you want to do is you do want to share it, because you want to, at least in my case, I want to make sure, hey, Chad, did you see what I saw in this picture? Can you give me some feedback? Or, you know, I think I got something on my lens, or I think I got my finger in the way. You know, can you just kind of help me with this? You know, you want to. That's what we do when we educate and we learn. That's how we learn how to write our letters, and that's how we learn how to count our numbers and add, is we ask others. And I think the best way to learn is by asking questions. And if you're not going to, if you're going to have some quote unquote evidence and you're not going to share it, then to me, I think you've got questionable evidence.
Exactly. That's another class that I'm working on. Actually, I'm going to be giving a lecture at in June at the Paranormal Awards on paranormal ethics.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, we do need.
We need that.
We definitely need that. I know, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff that's shared on the NPS page, and there's a lot of people that want to make something out of a picture that's not there, and they don't want to kind of embrace the fact that, you know what, you didn't get anything, and it's nothing that needs to be an ego hit. It should be something that you learn to educate yourself from. I know next week I've got the whole week on photography, which I'm looking forward to since I chair up that part of the NPS. But, I'm going to be talking to people about lens fungus. Who's heard of lens fungus? Some of the stuff that you capture on your camera isn't paranormal. You need to clean your damn lens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's lens flare, and some people use lens flare artistically, and you can look at those pictures and you look at yours and you can put two and two together that, common sense should have told me not to snap my picture in the sun, or not to snap my picture towards that reflective surface, or not to snap it towards that light. So we're going to go over some pretty basic things. I think if we start with the basics and build ourselves up, I think we'll be great. We're also going to look at EXIF data, which a lot of people, I brought that up on the page 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people didn't know what that was. So we're going to talk about that and how you can go back and look at your picture and learn from that data what your camera did and what you might have been doing wrong to have your camera react that way. So we're going to kind of get into some details and some tech type stuff, but it's stuff that you should know if you're going to be going out there and shooting these pictures and trying to capture something. And then I'm going to end the week with some fun stuff on Saturday that I'm not going to tell anybody about. A few people know, but not everybody. But we're going to have some fun stuff on Saturday where we're actually going to take what we've learned throughout the week and apply it to some pictures.
Yep, and some of those things that you just talked about is actually in my first book, talking about all those different things, lens flare and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and it's common stuff. People want to think that they've caught something. There was a picture out there today on the page that obviously looks like a reflection of something, but everybody wants to make it out to be paranormal. And it's like, until we can come to an agreement that there are going to be, I don't want to call them technical mistakes, but there's going to be some things that happen that can be explained, until we can all come to agreement on that and come up with some type of, baseline, for lack of a better word, on photos, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to move ahead with that. And the same thing goes with videos.
Exactly.
So what else do you like to share in your classes? I mean, we've talked about a couple of different things here that are dead on. I mean, they're things that we've really been needing in the field. What else do you think is something that's important?
I talk a lot about orbs and ribbons.
What's your take on orbs?
From the 7 years experience and the pictures and stuff that I've taken, video, I do believe that orbs are real, but the real ones are far and few between.
Yep.
I've got some video that I could show that from stage, what I call orbs are a stage one of a spirit trying to manifest. And I've got video where it shows the same orb and in different stages, and it gets big until it finally gets to a full-bodied apparition that we got.
Oh, wow.
Of a lady in white dress from the late 1800s. She was a librarian, and she's still at the library today. And I got it on video from the orb. It was a bright green orb.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was emitting its own color, energy, everything. It was green, and it just kept getting bigger until it came out to the lady. And so, like I said, orbs are real, but they're far and few between.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people... Go ahead.
Yeah, I try to teach, people what a real orb looks like and what dust orbs and light orbs and everything else, what they look like. Show them the difference.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, and I think there's a lot of discussion out there, my take and what I've always been told is a true orb will emit its own light, and it can
emit its own light. Correct.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when you're seeing some of these pictures that people post that have quote unquote faces in them or spider webs, you really need to go and look at that, because that's a dust orb, and you can go out there and you can kick up the dirt and you can see it for yourself. You need to be looking for something that emits its own light, because like you said, it's a spirit trying to manifest, so they're using energy. Dust orbs do not use energy. And it's really obvious.
And if you're seeing faces in the orbs, all that is matrixing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know how many people we have that will post their pictures on NPS and be like, do you see this face? Yeah, I can see a face, but I can also see that that's a door. I think it's a popular debate, and I think it's one of those that as we start getting into the field and narrowing down some more metrics or what have you, and we can start seeing and capturing some real orbs to be able to go back and say, okay, this is the definition of what a real orb looks like. I think it's going to be a while before we can actually fully define it and have something that we can say, this is what an orb should look like.
Correct. Well, one of the things I try to teach in my class also is if you see an orb, okay, try to get some other type of evidence to go with it. If you pick up an orb in your camera or your video, do an EVP session. See if you can get any Class A EVPs. Mm-hmm. If you have, like us, our team is kind of split half and half, with me and a couple other guys are the science guys, the technical guys, and then our females, my wife and a couple others, are sensitives, mediums, whatever you want to call them. Right. We try to see if they feel anything. I mean, for example, we did a couple of years ago, we were going into a private residence, and one of our mediums said she felt something pulling on her hair. Well, as soon as she said that, we started taking pictures of her. I was doing video camera of her, and sure enough, we got a bright blue orb right over her shoulder, right where she said she was getting touched.
Wow.
And then we got 3 good Class A EVPs.
Wow.
So you're getting all those extra pieces of evidence to validate that, yes, okay, that orb may have been actually a spirit orb. Mm-hmm. And that's why I try to teach my people, is to get more than one type of evidence to validate everything else. Because if you just get one piece of evidence, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So you want to leave like 3.
People just, you can't just look at one facet and say that's an orb. I mean, police officers don't build a case based off of one piece of evidence.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how we have to treat this and look at it and kind of move forward with our whole field is we literally have to treat it like a true investigation. And you've got to be able to collect your data and collect your evidence and prove your case. And that's where a lot of people kind of miss out. I know there's some people that will go and they'll look at their stuff and they give it one look and they put it up and look, I caught something. Well, how long did you take that picture or that video? And did you compare it to what your other team caught at the same time? Did you compare your notes there?
Right. Did you get any type of EVPs? Why you got that on your video or your camera? Does your sensitives feel anything? Mm-hmm. You can't just go by what, look at a camera. Yeah, I got this picture. Well, did you get anything to correlate with that picture?
Yeah.
Well, no. So then you got to throw it out. If you don't have anything else to validate it, I throw it out because it could be anything.
Well, it's that little phrase that we always use, when in doubt, throw it out.
Exactly.
And I try to tell people that with their pictures too. If you can't make out what it is, first off, if it's blurry, it shouldn't even be considered any part of evidence unless you've just got a dirty lens and it's evidence that you need to clean it. If it's a blurry picture, pitch it. Just pitch it. It needs to be something that's clear and concise before you can even begin to work with it. And I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make.
Correct. And you just mentioned another thing that I teach in the class. Every time you go, before you go on an investigation, make sure your cameras, your video recorders video recorders, whatever, you know, you got fresh batteries. You've cleaned your lenses on your cameras and your video cameras before you go out, so that you don't have those problems of getting fuzzy pictures or fuzzy videos when you actually on an investigation, because you've already taken that precaution before you went out and took care of your equipment. And that's a big thing, if people don't take care of their equipment.
Yeah. Well, and there should be a checklist. I mean, one of your things that you should do with all of your stuff is you should have a checklist, and you should make sure, you know, Deegan and I have cases that we put everything in. And so all we have to do is look in the case, make sure we've got everything we need. If we're going on an investigation tomorrow, we're charging our batteries today. We're making a stop at the store today to make sure we've got plenty of extra batteries. We go through AA's like nobody's business. We make sure we've got all of that in our cases, and then we take it out to the truck. And when we load back up, we know we've got everything because everything has got a place for it. And I think when you start getting in the habit of doing that, you know, okay, the day before my investigation, I'm taking out this piece of equipment, this piece of equipment, this piece of equipment. I'm wiping it down, I'm charging the battery. And I think it just becomes habit. And if you're not in that habit automatically, make yourself a list of the things that you need to check. I mean, it's really not that difficult. You need to treat it, it's not a hobby, you need to treat it like a business. And if you're out there helping clients, you owe it to these people that you're helping to go out there 100% prepared and ready to go.
Exactly. We're the same way. We kind of get new equipment every year. Since we've been doing it for 7 years now, we've got a lot of equipment, so we keep everything in cases, and we've actually switched over to rechargeable batteries, so that way we don't have to spend so much money on batteries, because, you know, those things get expensive after a while. And I've got some super rechargers for our rechargeable batteries. I can recharge a set of batteries in 15 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, we
save a lot of money that way.
We take, especially when we're going outside, we take what do you call that thing? It's like an adapter that we can actually put in the cigarette lighter and power charge. Our TriCam right now takes the Makita drill batteries. We're going to be upgrading to a new TriCam, thank you, Jeremy, that'll take regular batteries, but right now we make sure we've got some type of method to plug up and be able to charge those, even though we keep 4 of them, you know, at a time charged up. You never really know what's going to happen. So
right. So you got a TriCam from Paranormal?
Yeah, we're actually one of the focus teams for Paranormal. They're actually a sponsor of the show, so we get to play with a lot of Jeremy's toys pretty quick.
I got one too. I just got it this past December.
I love ours. I absolutely love ours. I cannot wait to trade it in for a newer one.
Well, that's what I got. I got the newer one.
Yeah. The newer, the flatter one.
He's got his new observatory DVR.
Yes.
Got that too.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good pieces. We've got the periscope, and I've got a butterfly periscope. We've got the pyramid. What's the other one that we've got?
I just got the temperscope from him also. I got
the
3 of those.
temperscope's really good. And he's got some more new stuff coming out. Well, now I'm talking about Paranormal's. The one thing that we've also looked at is the spectral observatory system that he has, to be able to set it up real quick. You know, just have it all in one piece.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I got.
Does that one work out pretty good for you?
It works great, and I love it because it's got sound with it and everything. It's got the wireless headphones. You can sit there and just hear what's going on in every room you got the camera in, and it takes like 5 minutes to set up.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've heard really, really good things about that. So I think this year we're really going to be adding to our arsenal and pumping up our equipment and stuff.
What Tom?
I'm not going to talk about him yet. We haven't done anything with him.
But what he does.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is people out there, they've got to learn to experiment. They can't just go by what they see on the shows. You know, you got to start experimenting with other types of pieces of equipment. Like one of the other pieces of equipment that I'm using this year is a Geiger counter, because I've talked to so many teams that there's a hypothesis out there that when a spirit entity is either trying to manifest itself to do an EVP or whatever, it's giving off low levels of radiation. So that's one of the things that I'm going to test with my Geiger counter this season is to try and see if I can pick up any type of low radiation when we're doing EVPs or anything.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, we had talked about, and Eric had been bringing it up for a while there, going out with the radiation patches and making sure that you've got a radiation patch on just to see, because, you know, there's been some thought that when there's paranormal activity, there's some radioactive type stuff going on. So that's something else to think about too. But, you know, that's us getting into the science aspect of it, not the thrill seeker aspect of it. That means we're actually thinking. So, you know, I'm hoping to see a lot more of that come out in the field, to where we are literally applying science to what we're doing and not just going out there to do it.
Well, you know, I kind of split. In my first book, I actually talk about, I split the groups out there. There's two different types of groups out there. One I call ghost hunters. And that group, I mean, there's nothing wrong with either one. But ghost hunters, I consider the ones that just go out there, they're having fun, they like to do their historical sites, so they go to paranormal conventions and investigate whatever they're doing there, you know, stuff like that. They're not really doing any type of scientific research. They're just going out there to have fun. Oh, I got an EVP, look at this picture, and those are the ones you see on Facebook all the time. Oh, I took this and see what I got here. Then you got your paranormal investigators. Those are the ones that are helping private residences or businesses, helping people with their paranormal activity, and they're doing the scientific research. They're trying to prove whether, you know, the ghost spirits exist or not. So I kind of have two different groups that I split.
Now, how do you, when you split them up, how do you politically make that split?
Pretty much the way I just explained it to you, that's how I make that split.
So you just tell them, hey,
I'm a very blunt person. I'm a very blunt person. I'm a retired Marine. I don't BS. I tell you how it is and how I think it is. You know, we can debate whether I'm right or wrong, but this is the way I see it. This is black and white, and there's no gray in between, something like that.
You know, see, I love it. That's kind of how I am. But when we take out our public groups, I usually group them with some of my teammates, and then we go out like for 15, 20 minutes to kind of see where everybody's going to fall. And then that's where I kind of group them without, maybe I need to take your stance and be like, look, if you're here for this, get over here. And if you're here for this, get over here.
Yeah. We kind of do the same thing. Where I live out here, I live in Fresno, California. Mm-hmm. So we have a group, it's called Fresno Paranormal Research Society. And what it is we got a whole bunch of people that join it. It's on Facebook, and then at least 2 or 3 times a month, the group will get together. I'll teach, you know, some classes, something like that. And then we actually find public places where we can take that whole large group out and teach them how to do paranormal investigating.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Then we usually, what we do from there, because when we first started, my team is 11th Hour Paranormal, and when we first started in 2009, it was just me and my wife. But what we've done now is we've got 7 members, and we've gotten those other members from that group. So when we're out there doing it, we see who's really serious about learning more and doing it properly, and we take those people from that group and add them to our actual group.
Oh, that's cool.
So that way we know we're getting somebody that's taking it seriously and wanting to learn,
and
you know, and help people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know we've talked about doing some more of that. We kind of slowed down for a little bit with the holidays and then selling the house and trying to get moved. So I think come March we'll start picking up a little bit more. But we tend to collect adult investigators. We've got, you know, 2 on our team. We've got my 17-year-old son, and I've got an 18-year-old investigator, female investigator that's been with me since I started. So we tend to kind of have that draw to the younger crowd and bringing them in. And we've noticed that depending on how they approach you and how they come in, those kids are like sponges coming in. And you'd be amazed at how many of them are, unlike your ghost hunter, they really want to get out into the nitty-gritty and the scientific side of things. So we've got, for this summer, I've already had a couple reach out to me and be like, hey, can we kind of come out and investigate with you guys over the summer? We see you've got young adult investigators. I'm like, yeah, come on out. You know, make sure it's okay with your parents. Have your parents come out the first time you meet with us, and we'll talk to them. We'll make sure everything's, you know, capiche. I never do anything without parent consent and without them knowing what's going on. But then we will take them out and go do stuff with them. And I have learned from these kids on some things. You know, I've got some of them, like my son is very into tanks and history and wars. And when we go out to places, like when we go out to forts and stuff, it's just amazing the questions they come up with and the things to ask and the things to reenact. It's just, it blows me away.
Yeah, that's one thing. And you just brought up something else that I teach also, and it's in the book. Especially more when we go to private residence and stuff like that, we have a lot of forms that we have our people sign, you know, permissions to be on the site or permission to be there, all that. And a lot of people are not doing that. They're not having, you know, permissions to sign like that, and they're going out and getting themselves in trouble.
Yeah, well, my background is a paralegal. So we have all of my new clients, in addition to filling out a 5-page questionnaire with them, they the paper that they sign, and they make sure that they understand what's going to happen, that they've given us permission. We sign a confidentiality agreement even. We actually go out there to do the investigation. We have them sign that we have their permission to be on that property to do that, especially if it's a piece of public property or something out where somebody might call the cops on us. We have permission from the owner with their phone number on there for the cops to call and verify that, yeah, that is their signature, you know, if they're not out there with us or whatnot. So it's just, you know, it's like running a business, really. You know, you've got to have everything covered. And we even have some of the teams I've been on before. Our team now, it's just, you know, the 4 of us, but I would have them even do me a medical form and have it signed that if something would happen to you, I have permission to take you to the hospital and have you admitted, and I have a copy of your insurance card. It's just, you know, it goes back to safety and just watching out for everybody. Yep,
we have all that too. We have a form that each member fills out, and I have it all in a file folder that I carry in one of our cases, so it's always on site. So if anything comes up and they get hurt or whatever, and you know, ambulance comes out, I've got all their medical data right there for the EMTs.
Well, and you know what your people are allergic to. So if you go out to a site, you know how to react when one of them has a reaction, or they've got their medication on them, and you know, oh my gosh, they're doing that because they haven't had their medication or they didn't take their evening dose or what the case may be. It's just being smart.
Exactly.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up the show. Where can people find you? I mean, you've talked about having a team, and we've got your book and everything else. Kind of splurt it out there, you know, where everybody can find you.
Oh, man, you can find me in a lot of different places. Well, you can find my books on Amazon. What you can do is you can go to Amazon.com/author/Chad Stambaugh, and it'll actually take you right to my author page. It has both my books right there. You can find my team page, which is www.11thhourparanormal.com.
And is that hour spelled out?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually 11th, hourparanormal.com.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook under Chad Stambaugh. And you can also, if you're interested in learning more from me, I actually do a bi-weekly blog on Facebook. And it is chadsteelers.blogspot.com. And like I said, it's a bi-weekly blog article that I do. I actually have about 15,000 readership right now, and I could use more.
Get out there and read.
A lot of the blogs are very educational articles. I talk a whole bunch of different things. I talk about OBEs, NDEs, you know. Last one I just did on Tuesday was talking about, you think pets are good to be paranormal investigators? Yes or no?
I think so. I've got one.
So, you know, stuff like that.
Well, and you guys, if you missed the blogs that Chad has, if you're paying attention on the NPS page on Tuesday, he's posting them out there. I saw it out there this week, I think it was. So make sure to look at that. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. We'll keep in touch because I'm curious now about this third book and when it's coming out, because I think I'm going to buy the first copy. I've been waiting for something like that to come out, so now I'll have some arsenal underneath me when I'm not carrying my Bible with me.
There you go. Well, I want to thank you, Sherry, for letting me come on the show. I really enjoyed it.
No problem. We kind of fly by the seat of our pants here, but you know what? We talk about everything. Obviously.
Well, most of the radio shows I've been on, pretty much everybody flies by the seat of their pants. I haven't been on really, except for one, organized, where, you know, they've had it all figured out. You know, everybody else is just like, okay, whatever comes up, comes up.
Well, and that's the way it should be, because we want to get to know you as the author. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If it's structured, it's too structured for me. I do some structure, but I don't do a lot of structure, so you gotta be flexible. Gotta be flexible. Well, thanks for being on the show, you guys. I will post some links to the books on the DNS page so you guys can find them, and then also to his blog page. I'll do that. If I'm not doing it tonight, I'll do it in the morning and get them up there so you guys can find them. So thanks again, Chad, for being on the show, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, Sherry, thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, you guys. Next week on the show, we had fun last week with Robin in numerology. And I've been kind of looking at my days, and today was the 5th day, and I had a great day, Robin. You have no idea how much of a great day I had. And I've heard from some other people that have been following the numerology and looking at some stuff and how they're kind of putting some stuff together. So it's been kind of cool. So we did numerology last week. Next week, Stacey White is coming back on the show, and you guys know she's another one of my favorite people. So we're going to be talking to her. Haven't quite decided what our center is going to be for the show, and you never know what's going to happen with us. So we are going to have her on the show. We're going to take some questions in the chat room. So if you guys want to tune in for that, we're going to be doing that. Yes, well, Alan, I think we do need to get his references in there. Make me a note on the rep page, and we'll take care of that. Sorry, guys, reading the chat here. Next week on the show, tune in. Stacey is with Mid-Ohio Mediums. We'll post some links to her page and her Facebook page on the DNS page and on my personal page so you can find her. Also, we need to give a shout out to our sponsors. I skipped over them last week because you know what? I just forgot. Sorry, Jeremy. Sorry to Scott. Guys, we just kind of overlooked you. So, Eric, if you're ready, we're going to, we did get busy. We're going to go ahead and run a thank you to our sponsors. We're hoping in March we're going to add a couple more, so you guys stay tuned for those. So we'll give a big shout out to Jeremy at Paranormal. You heard us talk about him a while ago with Chad. There is a new TriCam out this year, the 2014 TriCam, which is a little bit smaller. I cannot wait to get ours. Probably going to be the end of March before we have it, but we're going to be getting one, so you guys can reach out. He's working on some new pieces of equipment too, so stay tuned on the Paranormal's website and on the Facebook page. He's posting some videos out there. And we want to give a huge shout out to Scott Frederick for allowing us to use his pictures for a lot of our advertising and a lot of our fun graphics and so forth. He's not doing a whole lot of Urbanex-ish photos anymore, but he is still doing a lot of photo work. So you guys go out and show him some love too. So we will see you next week on the show, and till then, you guys stay out of trouble. See ya. Diva Live. We've changed the show tonight. Not really, it's DNS Live, but tonight it's going to be Diva Live because the ink never joins us anymore. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the post that I put on Facebook earlier tonight. I'm sure I'll get it later, but that's okay. It'll be well worth it in the long run. We've been a little busy the last week. Got some stuff moving along. Personally, we're going to be moving finally next week. So for Valentine's Day, not only do I get to kiss my house goodbye of 9 years, but we get to say hello to a bigger place. So we're thrilled about that. Not thrilled about the move, the actual move part, but we are thrilled to finally be past this chapter in life. So we can get on with our crew time stuff, and we can get on with investigations and reaching out to our clientele again so we can take care of some stuff. Nothing really exciting other than that's been going on. We've been working on some private residential cases still, hoping to wrap some of those up this weekend and give some solutions to our clients, and we'll see how well that goes. And then once we get settled into the new place, we're hoping to do some crew time and invite you guys out to join us on some investigations coming up, some commercial locations. So let's get started with the show. We have the author of the Paranormal Dictionary, which I still have to go and get. I'd hope to order it from Amazon by now, but of course with me moving, I don't know that I would get it, so I'm going to have to wait and make sure I get my copy